Okay, so the next step is creating blocks. Now, there's many ways you can create blocks, but I'm just going to tell you the way I do it. So you need basic elements of block image, direction arrow, and feedback. In theory, you need a minimum of 1 feedback per block. In practice, it's very advisable to have more than 1 feedback per block. There's many different reasons for this. Let's just start off in this illustration with a station platform. So all these elements I put into this block here, we need to group all these elements to the block. So the white square in the middle is the block, and all of those elements I've highlighted will make up the whole block. So if we highlight them, press the G button to group, that goes orange. Now you're in grouping mode. So whilst it is orange, you could group any other part of any other track or element to that block. If we then go into the block image, it opens up a window about the block. So we need to give the block a name. Okay, type, so we're going to call this block a station, and you'll see that down the left hand side of this drop down there's different shape representations for each type of block. So the station one's like a rectangle, so that's what we're going to call it. It now needs to know the physical length of this block. Okay, so if I just move this window down, there we go. And I'll just show you what that means. So from the turnout to the turnout is the block. So the rail would be isolated on the detection side. So the side that the feedback detector is monitoring is isolated. Now I've got 2 detectors within this one block. So it's isolated in the rail here, and for example, halfway in the middle here. So you've got 2 detectable sections within that whole block. So this length is the whole length of the block. So we need to tell it that whole length. So I'm just going to put in a figure in here just to show you what we're doing. Okay, so now we've given it a length to the block. Let's not worry about this margin at the moment, but basically this allows a margin for error of 5 centimeters within that block. Under the options tab, you can choose the scale. Now, not a lot of people are going to have this, but you can actually choose multiple scales in HO. So say you had a part of the layout which was narrow gauge, HOM, and part was HOE and part was HO. You could literally specifically say that this block is only a HOM track, and only HOM loco scale locos would be able to drive in that block. In the UK, we're probably never going to see that, so it would be OO or HO, whichever you chosen. Preferred direction of travel, so that means if when the trains are running automatically and this arrow defines the next direction of travel, preferably it wants to only drive this block in that direction of travel. Also, just talking about next direction of travel, these 2 dots here define the next direction of travel. This arrow must represent the same direction as those dots, pointing in the same direction as those dots. We then, if you wanted this block to be bidirectional or unidirection, you can choose that at this stage. So if we did bidirectional and we press OK, hold on, I'm going to have to come back into this. Press OK. You now see that in that block there's 2 arrows. You don't have to put the second arrow in, just by selecting it gives you that option. So you can also see the name you've created in the block. So now this could be a bidirectional block. You have to set the blocks to the type of direction to suit your needs for automatic driving. Okay, so to turn off the grouping mode when it's orange, just click in an empty square and press G. That will turn it to brown now. So that block is defined and is finished within the respect it's all grouped together. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is the feedbacks. That the actual detection sections within the block need to be defined. So the feedbacks, if we double click on the feedback, I'll move this into the middle if I can. There we go. So feedbacks, again, need names. For example, use whatever scheme of naming you wish. Keep the names short. The descriptions can be long. The names is best to have them short. The type of detection it is, so track detection, current sensing, we generally use occupancy, but you could have read switch. Light bar would be something like infrared detectors. Button, you can have a physical button to create an event or a feedback message to make something work. I'm not sure what value is or other is, but I've never known to use those, so we won't worry about that. So occupancy, and it changes length. It wants to know the length of this detectable section. So as you remember, we made this block 200 centimeters. I'm just going to say half of it is one detector, half of it is another. So the measurement would be, for this illustration, 100 centimeters. It then needs to know the address here of the output of the feedback module. So if it's module 1, the first output the wire went to, it'd be address 1. If it was 2, it'd be 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Once you've fulfilled that, press OK. The image now changes shape to define it as an occupancy detector, as you can see here. So that's what feedback 1 done. Then we'll go to feedback 2. Create its occupancy. The length again. Make it as accurate as you can, your measurements. It will make a huge difference. So that's the second one now sorted. Now we go back into the block. And if we go to the feedback tab and we press autofill, because all the feedbacks are grouped to the block, it should find those feedbacks, and it does. So it's found the 2 feedbacks, it's found the length of those feedbacks, where they start and where they end, in both directions of travel, because we made it bidirectional block, so it knows where that is. And this defined the block. Once you've done that, the block is complete. If you want to add signaling and it be automatic, go to options and click automatic signaling. Hit autofill. It's always good to press autofill. This is your friend, this isn't your enemy. That's a good thing to do. That is the basics of creating a block. So once you've done that block, we now need to go around this layout, and I'm going to have another platform here, so that'll be another block. Down the right hand side here, I'm going to have a block, another block along the bottom, and another block up the side. So it's literally a copy of what we've just done, so I'm not going to show you that because it's just a mirror of it. Once we put all those blocks in, we'll come back and show you how to connect the blocks together so it sees the routes.